The Sandy Neck Board is prepping for the future. Habitat for Humanity continues its mission of affordable housing in Barnstable, and all Barnstable police officers will soon be trained to use Narcan. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, November 25th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mantle. The Sandy Neck Board hopes to acquire $200,000 to restore Bodfish Beach Park. Chair Rich French made the initial pitch to the Community Preservation Committee at its meeting last night. French says while this is not yet a formal request, they want to notify the committee about the need.
This strictly is a placeholder. As you are aware, Sandy Neck Beach in the Bodfish area, more specifically, is going away by virtue of the tides that we've had. The latter part of October ended up taking away about 4,000 cubic yards of sacrificial sand that we had put in of the 5,000 cubic yards. So that's leaving us a quarter or a fifth of basically what was there. In the interim, we have been studying softscape. And we have let a contract out to CLE to come up with a softscape design, if you will, to protect that beach. As you are aware, the state doesn't allow any hardscaping, so we're going with the softscape or greenscape. So actually we're looking for funding sources, some of which is going to come from our revenue stream.
The Sandy Neck Board will go back before the Community Preservation Committee when a final presentation is complete. Habitat for Humanity is working to build 2 more single-family homes in Barnstable. Lee Derizola, who works with the organization, urged the Community Preservation Committee to support the $100,000 request.
It's just an exceptional project where a Barnstable resident wanted to donate the land to us. It's slightly over an acre. We will be using Mass General Law Chapter 40B to get 2 separate house lots out of it, and want to proceed with our tried and true sweat equity model, partnering with our families, building the house together with the families, with the community, and so we are here before you to hope that you would like to see a full application and learn more about the project.
Volunteer and affordable housing advocate Reverend John Terry echoed those sentiments.
Most Habitat affiliates in the Commonwealth are building 1 or 2 houses a year. So what's happening here is really, really remarkable. And there is a great deal of cooperation. I know in Falmouth, there was a bill there, an interfaith build, and the one that we're doing right now on Sesame Street is an interfaith build within the town of Barnstable, churches and synagogues working together. Tomorrow is the Rabbi's Day. Last Tuesday was my day.
The Community Preservation Committee voted to move the request to application status. They will go back in front of the committee next month. About 30 trees will be removed on Main Street in Cotuit to allow for road widening. The Planning Board approved the project at its meeting last night. Town engineer Roger Parsons says crews will cut as little as possible.
Just to reiterate basically what we did say last time, and that was that in developing this proposal for the improvement of the road, which is our capital improvement project, we had already considered minimizing the design to lessen the impact. That was a thing that we already had done as part of the process. And that actually beyond that, given the fact that we had some interest from one of the abutters, we went to them and addressed the issue. I believe you have a letter for the record submitted by a representative of the main abutter to the project. And we worked to the degree that we anticipate being able to save as much as 40% of the trees that were actually asked for in the permit. And this, the purpose of this project was to provide safer pedestrian and vehicle access and provide a long-lasting infrastructure improvement. And our project has been improved by the Conservation Commission. As a matter of fact, today was a typical day, as we know, in the wintertime in November, and we had some rain. And I took the opportunity to go to the project site this morning, and just by chance happened to photograph two vehicles traveling pretty much as I arrived at the property through that area. And I have a copy of that photograph, which I'd like to present to you, Mr. Chairman, as an exhibit, simply to show the type of a situation we're up against in many of our road projects, but this one in particular. So all of the other information that you received last time from the engineering design group, as well as Charlie Genotasio, our tree warden, is valid. But I thought this was telling in the final, application process. And I do appreciate your time, by the way, and that of the staff in going through and reviewing and coming up with what we hope is a prospective permit. Thank you.
Parsons says the town will plant 14 new trees on Main Street in Katuitt to lessen the impact. Well, it's been a busy week for the Barnstable Police Department. Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin talked to Police Chief Paul McDonald about this week's happenings and a state grant that will allow all officers to be equipped with the overdose reversal medication Narcan.
Things I want to touch on today, Chief. The first heard about an incident over the weekend along Main Street in Hyannis at a local restaurant. Tell me a little bit about what happened here.
On Sunday, November 23rd, at about 12:45 in the morning, we received multiple 911 calls from the Embargo restaurant/bar on Main Street, Hyannis, regarding an individual who was brandishing a firearm at the bar. Upon our arrival, the security personnel had a person detained just outside the front door. He was up against the side wall of the building. The police officers had a conversation with them. They frisked him, and they pulled out a loaded semi-automatic pistol from his waistband. Apparently what happened during the evening, he went to Embargo. He was in possession of the firearm. He had some type of verbal confrontation with the female at the bar, and he had no idea who they were not known to each other. That was quickly diffused by the security personnel. They then escorted him outside the building. Once outside the building, they were trying to detain him until we arrived. He then pulled the weapon a second time and pointed directly at them and said that he's going to assassinate all three of them. That's when the police officers rolled up on the scene, and they quickly arrested him and charged him with multiple firearms violation and also threat by a means of a dangerous weapon. He is legally licensed to carry the firearm, but obviously bringing the firearm into a licensed liquor establishment and obviously sitting there drinking was a very poor decision.
Indeed, and whereas it may not be illegal for him to bring it into the establishment, certainly the way in which he used it was against the law.
Oh, absolutely. And since then, his license to carry has been revoked. He was being held on $1,000 cash bail, and that will be the end. Once this goes through the court system, he will be unable to carry an LTC again.
And was that firearm confiscated, Chief?
It was confiscated. We have it, and it will not be returned to him.
Indeed. Certainly, thankfully, we don't hear a lot about these incidences for sure. Is it something, I think that Embargo is a restaurant that does have a bouncer at the door late at night. Is it something that perhaps you think they're going to be checking for in the future?
But this is a rare incident. This does not happen very often. We have very few problems along Main Street. Yes, we have a number of bar rooms there, but we have a great working relationship with them. This, I would have to say, is an isolated incident. Embargo did a great job, and they have multiple security personnel working there. So it's a sad event. It could have been a lot worse, but thankfully it wasn't.
Absolutely. Chief, want to move on and talk a little bit about a grant that was received. This is really good news for police officers to carry Narcan. Tell me a little bit about what this grant will do for the BPD.
Well, the department applied for back in September a grant through the Department of Public Health for a grant for training and purchasing of Narcan in the amount of $32,440. As you know, there were multiple overdoses last year, starting around December, because there was a bad batch of heroin out in the street, and it was right through Barnstable County. District Attorney, the Sheriff's Department, all the police chiefs got together. At the time, police officers were not able to carry Narcan. The governor intervened. He had that rule and regulations changed from the Department of Public Health.
And McDonald says by January 1st, all 115 officers will be trained and all cars will be equipped with a Narcan kit. There is one meeting at Town Hall tonight. The Waterways Committee meets tonight at 7 in the Selectmen's Conference Room. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our Business Barnstable segment. We'll chat with local author Carolyn Kepnes, plus we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.